Howdy folks, today we are going to be making some bread machine pretzel bites. Recently, while I was in Dollywood in Tennessee, I went thrifting at the Goodwill and I found myself a bread machine. Don't think it's gross because I brought it home and deep cleaned this thing. I've been wanting a bread machine for literally months, and I've always heard don't buy one brand new because trust me, there's some at the thrift store. I've checked my local ones. I've never seen a bread machine in my local ones, but when I went to Tennessee, there it was. And can you believe I only spent $14 on it? This is originally a $90 machine, and this is the Hamilton Beach. I love this bread machine. There's many different settings like basic, French, gluten-free, quick, sweet, 1.5 pounds express, 2 pounds express, dough, jam, cake, whole grain, and bake. We're going to be using the dough setting today. So if you have a dough setting on your bread machine, that's what you're going to need for today's recipe. We're going to be making a copycat version of Auntie Anne's pretzel bites. Get ready. So first of all, I got to plug the machine up. Let's give it some power. It's got power. And let's start on the recipe. So basically, you just untwist this and then you get this out. You can pour it into the machine while your canister's in your machine, but it just makes a mess on the inside and I don't like that, so I take mine out. Okay, so with the bread machine, you always want to put your wet ingredients before your dry ingredients. So the first ingredient is going to be 1.125 of a cup of warm water. So 1/8 of a cup is hard to come by in a measuring cup. 1/8 of a cup is just 2 tablespoons of water. So a cup of warm water and 2 tablespoons of warm water. So let's get that. And then I'll get my 2 tablespoon measuring spoon and I will add that. So hang on. There we go. So the next recipe is going to be your 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. You could do your flour next, but I prefer to do my brown sugar. So here's my brown sugar container, and I will just need 3 tablespoons. Now with brown sugar, I will tell you this. One thing I learned when taking foods class is you need to pack brown sugar to get the actual measurement of it. So this would be 1 tablespoon. I'll rub it on this little wall here so that way it gets it even. 2 tablespoons. And then 3 tablespoons. So your next recipe is going to be 3 cups of flour, and you're going to use bread flour. Do not use all-purpose flour. It does not work out. I accidentally used all-purpose, and it ended up being watery on accident. So that was my mistake. So I ended up having to redo it, and you don't even see that. So use bread flour. So with flour, to properly measure it out, you just get yourself like a butter knife, and you use the back of it like this, and that's how you get the perfect measure. So there's 1 cup of flour. So you see, kind of packed it in there, and then brush it off. 2 cups of flour. I'm only showing this because maybe somebody doesn't know, and since I've learned it, it's going to be great advice. So 3 cups of flour, and that's all we need. And now, once you have your 3 cups of flour in here, you want to kind of spread it around the whole entire machine so you don't see no water, because you're not going to want your yeast to touch your water right yet, okay? Then our last ingredient is our instant yeast. And all you're going to need is 1.5 teaspoons of instant yeast. So it says instant, but the best kind of yeast to use in a bread machine is bread machine yeast, and this is Fleischermann's, I think that's how you say it. It really sets up quick. It works perfectly, but a lot of people say they use active dry, but for this, I'm going to use bread machine yeast. If you want to take a screenshot, there you go. It's the best kind. I've made a bunch of recipes in the bread machine, and it's worked out great. So we need 1.5 teaspoons. So there's my 1.5 teaspoons. When I use these, I just unhook them off of this, so that way I know they're dirty and they need to be clean. So let's see. There is my 1 teaspoon. And then there's my half. And that's all the ingredients that I will need for these pretzel bites. So the next step is to place it into my bread machine, lock it by just twisting it, shut it, find my cycle, which is going to be cycle 8, which is dough. And then I kind of push it towards the center of my counter because it moves a lot and I don't want it to fall off the counter. And then I just hit start. And as you can hear, it is mixing it up. So while this is preparing, I will clean up all this and I will show you guys the next step after the dough is done. But I'm going to talk to you guys in a second about something else. So while the bread machine is doing its thing, I'm going to talk to you guys about what I have started to make. And that is sourdough starter. Sourdough starter is very complex. Once you start to actually look into it, it seems very difficult. But once you get the hang of it, you will learn it. So I'm testing it right now. I'm actually on day 3 of doing this. It's on there with an expo marker. And I'm going to peek on it. There's some bubbles going on. I just fed it today. Yes, you have to feed sourdough starter. I know that sounds weird, but it is actually a living thing. Like yeast is living, it bubbles, it breathes. So yeah, it's because it's like a bacteria that you pretty much can cook with and is safe to eat. So all you got to do every single day is when you first start out your sourdough starter, maybe I'll make a whole video about this once I get better at it, but when you first start out your sourdough, all you have to do is a cup of flour and I think it's a half a cup of water. You start that off and you mix it and you leave it. Then every single day for a whole week, I use bread flour for this, all you do every single day is discard half of it, which means throw away half, and then add a half a cup of flour and a fourth a cup of water every single day until a whole week. And then you'll have sourdough starter. It's a lot cheaper making it instead of buying it because I've seen some people selling their sourdough starter dehydrated for like $30. So I'm trying to make it myself instead of buying someone's sourdough starter. But if this doesn't work out, might have to just buy someone's sourdough starter. So if you guys have bought someone's sourdough starter before, just let me know your favorite ones down in the comment down below. But this is my day 3 starter, and I will keep you guys updated once I get farther along with it. Alright guys, so the dough is done. And yes, I am doing a voiceover just because it's late at night. There was people talking and I thought this was the best way to do it. So now it's time to take this dough out and get to rolling and separating and cutting up our pretzel bites. You could definitely make this into regular size pretzels if you don't care for bites. It's really up to you. So I am flouring my surface, but the dough is really not sticky. If you follow the ingredients to the exact, you should not have a sticky dough. I'm taking my Dolly Parton rolling pin and I'm rolling it out. I'm basically just rolling it so I get some bubbles out of it. But you could definitely skip this step and just do the next step, which is separating them, so it makes it easier for you to roll them out. So with rolling them out, you're kind of do it like how you would take Play-Doh and roll it into a worm. It's that same little technique, and then once you roll it out, you just cut it into the pieces of pretzel bite sizes that you like. And here's an example of the sizes that I use. And mine definitely aren't going to be all the same size. There's some that are way bigger than others. There's some that's really tiny. Just get them cut up into the dough shape and you're good to go. So after you get all of them cut, it is time to do a baking soda wash. You have to do this in order to get your pretzel bites to be squishy and not stiff and hard. So all you need is 8 cups of warm water and then you need 1/3 cup of baking soda. Once you pour that in there, you want to make sure to stir it up because the baking soda tends to sit at the bottom of the bowl and it's not going to do it justice. So I just use my little whisk and all you do is sit you a couple on there, or you could just literally drop them in, but I do this so it doesn't splash water. I just soak them in there for about 30 seconds, and once they're in there for 30 seconds, I just scoop them out and I put them onto the parchment paper, and that's all you do, and you have to continue that step for all of them. I'm separating all of these pretzel bites into 2 pans, and I did put some parchment paper so they don't stick. After I get done doing that, I do get some table salt, and I just sprinkle it. I'm pretty sure it'd probably be better with pretzel salt, but we don't have none, so I just used what we had. So once you do that, you put it in the oven on 425 degrees, and you wait until they are your desired look. Now, I get them out before they get really golden brown because I don't care for them to be stiff. So here is the final results. I hope that you guys enjoy this recipe. Let me know if you do end up making these and if you like them. I hope everyone enjoyed watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!